Joining me now is Bob Pinnegar. He is the president and CEO of the National Apartment Association. Bob, it's good to have you. Let's start with some of the state-by-state experiments that you think are working better.
Well, some states have shown that they're willing to work with the industry and actually have been able to put together programs that are functioning rather well. Virginia is an example of a program that was not very friendly to the industry in the beginning, but working with the industry, they were able to create something that works well. Same thing's happening in Pennsylvania, and Colorado is another standout program. But there's painfully few programs that are like that across the country.
I mean, it's probably a little bit of a reputational issue, right? I'm sure landlords are up there with calling, the cable company in terms of, how much people love them as a group, right? As an anonymous group without putting faces on. I thought Diana's report very well did illustrate who this hurts, and the warning that we just heard about how it could actually result in a shortage of affordable apartment rentals. Do you think that could really bear out if this continues the way it's going?
It's already happening. There's studies that have been done out there that have indicated in the independent rental owner category that somebody who owns, 1 to say 5 single-family homes, which is 88% of the 14.9 million single-family home rentals we have across the country, that 11% have sold one property, 12% of the respondents have sold their entire portfolio. So these small owners that didn't have the cash to survive this are simply cashing out and to try to save their retirement income.
Of course, and then you think that turnover is putting people into this class of ownership who are looking to make more money by maybe upgrading the units, trying to sell them at a higher price. I mean, because can they actually do anything in the meantime until this issue is resolved, or are all of the existing renters staying put?
At this point, the existing renters are staying put because of the order. But the industry, in an unprecedented way, whether it be a small operator or a large national company, have been working with their residents to set up payment plans to assist them with applying for the funds in the jurisdictions when they can. We have one member in Texas that's actually set up a computer lab in their common area. And as I've been explaining to different outlets that have been asking us questions, is if you know that the dollars are going to be coming and the person is actually working with you cooperatively, it doesn't make any sense to evict because the eviction process is long. It can take up to 90 days to evict somebody. The courts are going to be backlogged with not just evictions, but with just other things in general, other legal matters. And so it could take months for an eviction to be processed. So if you can work with the resident that's communicating with you in the unit and keep them there, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. So what happens now? I mean, I thought in one of Biden's plans there was actually rental assistance going to landlords to try to make them at least, make up for some of the lost money here. I don't know if any of that's happened, if there were any targeted relief measures that have made their way through. But Diana also mentioned the Supreme Court. What happens if they say, actually, this was never constitutional in the first place?
Well, the Supreme Court is really going to judge on did the administration and the agency have the authority to do this, which really goes to future crises that come along, because we do feel, and we've been a participant in those court cases, that they have overextended their legal authority given to the CDC. But the bigger question is that, while there's a large amount of money that has been authorized by Congress to provide relief to renters and to property owners, there's still, at this point, based as of March of this year, based upon information from Moody's and the Mortgage Bankers Association, $18.6 billion in rent debt that is unfunded. And by the time we get to the end of July, that could easily be $25 or $26 billion. So this is a growing crisis. And the faster we can get dollars out, great. But also, the quicker we can get the economy open and get people working again is really going to be our long-term solution.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.